Hi Lisa, I have practiced mindfulness for years. The goal has been to stop thinking completely. Now I believe that there is something wrong about that. Does thinking also have its place? Could you comment on that? Hey Kim, thanks for your question. Who taught you mindfulness? When I was taught mindfulness, the goal wasn't to stop thinking. The goal was to be present to it, so not being lost in the thinking. So I never got taught that in mindfulness, but I'm sure there's loads of different schools and loads of different teachers. I think that thinking has a place, but I also think it's thinking which created the world, which created separation. So our ability to name things is what created somebody in relationship with those things. So in the beginning, before we could speak, there was just everything, and we didn't know who we were or what we were. It's like we were naked in the Garden of Eden. Like everything was simply happening, and there was a deep connection to who we were, like a deep presence. And then when there was identification with thoughts, so when thinking happened and then the identification with it, or when there was thinking began to happen, there was an identification with I, like I am going to collect the berries. I did a bad job. And then after lots of being told, you, me, then it began to feel like there was somebody actually in this body separate from life, and there was someone that was guilty, there was someone that had responsibility, there was someone that did right or wrong, whereas there's nobody that did right or wrong. There is simply what's happening. I think that mindfulness is very beneficial on the human level. Like, so when we were younger, like when I was younger, I was just totally lost in thoughts that I didn't even know I was thinking. So when I was angry with someone, I just thought that it was fact. I can't even remember that, but like I remember people reminding me of that happening. Like I just was totally identified. So if I thought something was bad, I believed with all my being that it was bad. I didn't think, oh, I'm thinking it's bad, it's my projection. I really believed it was bad. So I think mindfulness of thinking is a really great practice to teach humans, and I would love it if they taught it in schools and like taught it to everybody. But I don't think it's going to lead you to non-duality, because there's somebody that's practicing mindfulness. What it will most likely do is calm the person down and make the person more balanced and stable, and then there will be an openness to non-duality. Like, so when you're not seeking so much in time, when you're not suffering so much, there is the possibility to speak about something that's beyond that. When you're deeply suffering, there has to be an addressing of that deep suffering. Because so if you imagine somebody like deeply in agony because their partner killed themselves, like you can't go in there and start saying nothing exists, nothing's real. I mean, maybe you could, but most of the time you have to deal with that. So mindfulness is a great way of settling down, and it's what I did for 5 years, practicing mindfulness and the Metabhavana and Vipassana Buddhism. So I practiced Buddhism that taught mindfulness and metta, and then I practiced with another group that taught Vipassana meditation, which is like body meditation. And this brought me back down to my body, to feeling, to emotions, to realizing that the body is way more than what we think it is. Like I remember in this Vipassana experience, having this experience that I was in agony and that my legs were breaking, and you had to like not move until the end of the session. I was sitting there and I felt like I was sweating in agony. And then when the bell got up and I moved my legs were fine. They weren't in pain at all. It was all in my mind and my imagination. And I was just like blown away by that. I remember another time I fell asleep in meditation, sitting up, and I dreamt a whole film in like 2 seconds, like a whole film of someone's life in 2 seconds. And then another one was having experiences that my head was on backwards, that my head was touching the ceiling, that my hands were on backwards, like all these experiences where I thought that things were a certain way. And as you begin to challenge your mind and challenge thinking, you begin to realize things are only appearing that way because we believe it. There's so much more to life than what we believe as humans and as humanity. Nice. Thank you for your question, Kim.